Dear grade 11 students, how are you all? Today's lesson is literature. This is page 136 up to page 138. They are about, these three pages are about Benjamin Franklin, who lived for about 84 years, and he was born in 1706 and died in 1790. From his teen years until his retirement at age 42, Benjamin Franklin worked as a printer. As we said before, he was a printer a printer is a person who printed books, newspapers, and so on. And you know, he was responsible for the newspaper his brother established after his brother James Franklin was sent to prison. He got his start as an apprentice. You know, apprentice is a child who learns a specific job from someone older. To his brother James Franklin, a Boston printer. They used to live in Boston, Massachusetts. By the time he was 16, Ben was not only printing, but writing parts of his brother's newspaper. He was also a writer, using the name Silence Dogood. This is his name, or the name he used, which is called pen name sometimes. He wrote letters satirizing daily life, criticizing daily life in a funny way, and politics in Boston. When he was 17, he moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to open his own print shop. This move gave birth to one of his most enduring contributions to American culture, Poor Richard's Almanac. This annual publication, which was published from 1732 to 1757, contained information, observations, and advice, and was a colonial bestseller. It was produced every year, once a year. The right reputation as a writer, just as he had signed Silence Dogood to the letters he wrote to his brother's paper, Franklin created a fictitious author editor for the almanac. The chatty Richard Saunders, or Poor Richard, these are some of the characters he used, first appeared as a dull and foolish astronomer. However, over the years, his character developed, becoming more thoughtful, pious, and funny. Secret to success, the secret to his success, like most almanacs, or the success of the almanac. Again, an almanac, if we go to the dictionary here, I read it from the dictionary. Almanac. Listen to the pronunciation. Almanac. It's a book published every year that contains facts and information such as important days, the year, times of the sun rising and going down to changes in the moon. This is almanac. So, like most almanacs, Poor Richard's almanac contained practical information, useful information about the calendar, the sun and moon, and the weather. It also featured a wealth of homespun sayings and observations, or aphorisms. An aphorism is a saying, a short saying that is a wise saying, many of which are still quoted today. You know, if you have any calendar in your put in your wall, now at the bottom of the calendar, you'll see an aphorism put every day. It was these aphorisms that made the almanac a bestseller. Franklin included an aphorism at the top or bottom of most of the almanac's pages. The wit and brevity, they were clever, smart, and short. Of these sayings allowed him to weave in many moral messages, to deliver many moral messages while also entertaining his readers. Like the one on the right here, this is one of them. If you would not be forgotten as soon as you are dead and rotten, either write things worthy of reading or do things worth the writing. This is one of his aphorisms. Man of science, he was a scientist. When Franklin was 42, he retired from the printing business to devote himself to science. He proved to be successful as he had been a printer. He used to be a successful printer, and after he retired to devote himself to science, he used to be a successful scientist. Over the course of his life, Franklin was responsible for inventing the lightning rod, bifocals, and a new type of stove. We're going to talk about them later. He confirmed the laws of electricity, charted the Gulf Stream, and contributed to the scientific understanding of earthquakes and ocean currents. In spite of all these achievements, Franklin is best remembered for his career in politics. A statesman and diplomat, Franklin played an important role in writing the Declaration of Independence, enlisting or asking for French support or help during the Revolutionary War, negotiating a peace treaty with Britain, and drafting the United States Constitution. He participated or played an important part in drafting the Declaration of Independence and drafting the United States Constitution. He asked the French government for support during the Revolutionary War, and he negotiated a peace treaty with Britain. In his later years, he was the United States ambassador to England and then to France. He was an ambassador. Even before George Washington earned the title, Franklin was considered to be the father of the country. Before George Washington took this title, Benjamin Franklin used to be the father of his country. The autobiography, the autobiography is the description of one's own life described by himself or herself. Franklin wrote the first section of the autobiography in 1771 when he was 65 years old. At the urging of friends, he wrote 3 more sections, the last shortly before his death. The last one was shortly before his death, but succeeded in bringing the account of his life only to the year 1759. Though never completed, so his biography, he published or wrote 4 sections up to the year 1759. He died before he completed it. His autobiography, filled with his opinions and advice, provides not only a record of his achievements, but also an understanding of his extraordinary character. Franklin's firsts, this is the last page, we're going to study this term in literature, Franklin's firsts. He was the first one to make or do many things. He was an inventor's or inventions superstar. He was a successful inventor, practical yet inspired. Franklin never patented, both pronunciations are correct, his invention. A patentee is a person who gets a certificate that says you are the first one to invent or create this or write this. Writing that he was, these are his words. Glad of an opportunity to serve others by any invention of ours. And this we should do freely and generously. I don't want anything in return. Swim, one of his firsts is the swim fin or fan. Then childhood, young Franklin thought he needed a bit more oomph. Oomph is power during his swims. To increase his speed in the water, he concocted a fin shaped like a lily pad, the fin, how it looks, or the flippers, that he wore over his hands. Fire department, Franklin created the first fire department in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 16 years later, he set up the first fire insurance company. Lightning rod, in 1752, Franklin's insight that lightning is a form of electricity led to his design of a pointed metal rod that attached to the top of a building with a wire running into the ground. Elegant and simple, this device reduced property damage and the numbers of lives lost to the fires caused by lightning strikes. glass harmonica. In 1761, a more sophisticated, let's say, sophisticated, complicated version of filling up glasses with water and playing them by running your fingers around the edge of each. The harmonica could produce chords and melodies. These instruments are still in use. Never seen them or heard about them. Odometer, 1775. As postmaster of Philadelphia, he was the master of the post. He was responsible of the post office. Franklin wanted to boost efficiency by learning which routes were fastest to send messages. To measure distances, he attached an instrument to his carriage that counted the rotations of the axles, giving him the information he needed. Bifocals, these are a type of glasses, as we will read. After getting frustrated with the need to keep switching between eyeglasses, one for seeing close-up and one for seeing distances, Franklin had each pair cut in half horizontally and put one half of each lens into one frame. Many people use bifocals to this day. You know, when you have the same pair of glasses with bifocal lens, okay? All people still use this until today. Daylight savings time. In 1784, whether in jest or thrift, Franklin invented daylight savings time. You know, as we say in Arabic, توقيت الصيفي أو توقيت الشتوي, an idea that helps us spring forward and fall back each year as we make the most of natural life. This is what we call توقيت الشتوي وتوقيت الصيفي. So we have a big list of his firsts. This is very important to study. Thank you very much.